Discover how an orphan girl created Chanel and amazingly transformed luxury fashion forever. In a village filled with whispers of unrealized dreams, Gabrielle Coco Chanel sat alone beneath a willow tree. The world around her often felt cold, much like the orphanage she called home. Yet, inside her burned a fire, a fierce passion flickering amidst the shadows of doubt. The grand stages of Paris, filled with stunning gowns and bright laughter, seemed like a world away, but Coco longed to mold that dream into something tangible. She watched the village women pass by, their dresses draped gracefully. Coco felt a pang of envy. Each stitch, each hem, told a story, a world she wished to belong to. Flashes of hope would come from Madame Lemoyne, an elderly woman in the village. With a raspy voice and kind eyes, she often shared tales of her struggles and victories. "Coco," she'd say, "if you want the stars, you must dare to reach for them." Those words ignited Coco's spirit, convincing her that perhaps she could escape the confines of her small life. Driven by a strong sense of determination, Coco made her decision. She would leave her village for Paris. With nothing but the clothes on her back and a heart full of dreams, she set forth. The city welcomed her with open arms and a cacophony of sounds, unlike anything she had ever known. Artists and war veterans crossed her path, their lives as painted as the city's walls. In their eyes, she found a sense of belonging she had never experienced. But the bustling streets held their own challenges. Coco faced a world smothered in prejudice. Her innovative designs were often dismissed, laughed at by the same elite she sought to impress. The sting of rejection left her breathless, and for a moment, doubt crept into her heart. Was she just a foolish girl with dreams bigger than the fabric she could sew? She had fought so hard for recognition, and at that moment, it felt like her dreams were slipping away. However, her friends, an eclectic mix of fellow creatives, rallied around her. They shared stories, bonded over their struggles, and spoke of dreams etched in their hearts. "We all have something to create," they said, their voices full of conviction. As Coco listened, she felt a fire reignite within her. Their strength blended with hers, weaving a tapestry of resilience no one could tear apart. Just as they started to find their footing, an unexpected event shook Coco to her core, a critique from an influential fashion journalist who tore apart her work. The words echoed in her mind, trapping her in a whirlpool of self-doubt. Yet, as she sat in silence, her friends' laughter reminded her why she had come to Paris in the first place. They were not just allies. They were family, bonded by dreams and experience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let us continue. Standing at a crossroads, Coco realized her past didn't define her. It was her community, a lively montage of struggles and victories that forged her identity. Would they rise together against their oppressors, or would the weight of societal expectations crush their dreams? As the vibrant streets of Paris illuminated her journey, the question loomed: could she carve out a space for herself in a world that seemed unyielding? The answer awaited just beyond the horizon. As night fell over Paris, the city became a different beast. The lights twinkled like stars above, but there was a heaviness in the air. Coco walked down the cobblestone streets, each step resonating with uncertainty. Her friends, emboldened by their shared dreams, had urged her to keep creating. Yet, the sting of the critic's words lingered in her mind, wrapping around her thoughts like barbed wire. "You'll never fit in," the journalist had claimed. Those words, once just noise, had burrowed deep, becoming a whispered fear every time she picked up a needle. Coco found solace in a small cafe filled with fellow artists and dreamers. The familiar scent of coffee and fresh pastries wafted through the air, and laughter bubbled like champagne in a glass. She took a seat at a table in the corner, her fingers tapping nervously against her sketchbook. Here, surrounded by camaraderie, She could almost believe in herself again. But it was hard to shake the gravity of her doubt. She scribbled sketch after sketch, only to tear them up, crumpling the paper in frustration. What if they're right? She muttered to herself, her heart heavy. What if I'm not meant for this? Just then, a friend, Antoine, slid into the seat across from her. His eyes were warm, reflecting the golden glow of the cafe candles. "Coco, what is wrong?" he asked, concern etching deep lines on his forehead. "They don't see me, Antoine. They only see the girl from the orphanage," she confessed, her voice thick with emotion. "How can I fight a battle against those who have everything?" Antoine leaned forward, intensity in his gaze. "You are more than just your past. Remember Madame Lemoyne? She taught you that our history fuels our fire. You're not just a girl from nowhere. You bring authenticity. Your designs hold truth because they come from you." His words touched something deep inside her. Slowly, the barbed wire of doubt began to unravel, replaced by a warmth that swelled in her chest. She found herself opening her sketchbook, letting the pencil glide softly across the page. The initial designs were full of elegance, a blend of simplicity and boldness, echoing her own journey. What if I created something that redefined class? Coco mused, her eyes lighting up. Something that speaks to every woman, showing them they are beautiful just as they are? Antoine grinned, his enthusiasm infectious. "Yes, that's the spirit. You can do this, Coco. Show them." With her heart racing, Coco poured her soul into her work, channeling every disappointment into a creation that was unapologetically her own. Each stroke carried her history, her fights, and her victories. But she knew she couldn't do it alone. She needed her friends, her newfound family, to stand by her side as she reclaimed her story. The following days were a whirlwind of creativity. Coco gathered her friends, sharing sketches and discussing her vision of a women-esque collection that was more than just fabric and thread. She wanted to liberate them from the restrictive notions of beauty and fashion. "I want to design clothes that allow women to breathe, to express who they are," she declared, her voice rising with fervor. But just as momentum built, whispers of an upcoming fashion show reached her ears. "The perfect chance to showcase your talent," her friend said, eyes gleaming with hope. However, the doubt crawled back in. What if it ends in disaster? Coco's heart raced with the weight of that question. The fear of rejection loomed larger than ever. Yet, a flicker of resolve ignited within her. In that moment, she realized she could either keep hiding or step into the light. Would she let the opportunity slip away, or would Coco finally claim her place in the world of fashion? The challenge lay before her, a crossroads of fate. The morning sun spilled over Paris, casting a golden hue on the rooftops and streets below. Coco stood in front of her worn mirror, excitement and nerves bubbling inside her. Today was the day she had unconsciously prepared for all her life, yet it felt as if the floor beneath her was unsteady. Her sketchbook lay open on the table, vibrant designs splashed across the pages. Each one told a story, an echo of her past fused with her hopes for the future. But beneath the thrill of creation lingered a gnawing doubt. What if the world saw only the girl from the orphanage? What if they dismissed her as another dreamer painting on canvas instead of a designer carving out a place of her own? Antoine's words replayed in her mind, steadying her resolve. "You bring authenticity." Clenching her fists, Coco vowed not to let fear snatch away her purpose. She straightened her shoulders, feeling the fabric of her dress brush against her skin. Simple, yet elegant, felt right. Stepping out into the bustling streets, she breathed in the crisp air, her heart racing like the horse-drawn carriages traversing the cobbled roads. She made her way to the venue, the anticipation crackling through her. The Grand Palais loomed ahead, its historic dome a testament to the beauty of craftsmanship she had long admired. It was also where she would lay bare her soul. Inside, the energy buzzed with artists adjusting lights and sound technicians preparing for the show. Laughter danced about, but it felt distant to Coco. She was caught in her moment. Part of her wanted to retreat, to become the girl hidden behind the curtain, safe but unseen. Yet the other part, the part fueled by Antoine's confidence, tugged her forward. "Hey, you made it!" A voice called, pulling her out of her thoughts. Margot, her vibrant and supportive friend, rushed toward her, raping Coco in a warm hug. "You're going to be incredible. Just remember, these are your designs, your spirit." Coco nodded, a shy smile breaking through. As her friends gathered around, the warmth of friendship enveloped her. Their energy was infectious, melting away the icy fear that had threatened to cling to her heart. "Let us take a look," one friend urged, pulling her towards a dressing room lined with racks of clothes. Each piece was part of the collection Coco had poured her essence into, colors and textures echoing throughout the room. "What do you think?" Coco asked, her voice shaky. "It's gorgeous," they chimed, eyes wide with admiration. But it wasn't enough. She wanted to hear their authentic reactions, not just kind words to soothe her nerves. "Are you sure? I want women to see this and feel empowered, not just pretty." "Coco, trust yourself. They LLC you, we see you. You are the heart of this." Antoine's voice rang clear, resonating through her insecurities. Bracing herself, Coco stepped away from the mirror, ready to reveal her vision to the world. As the audience began to fill the space, she felt the energy shift. Each unique face reflected her hopes, but they could just as easily turn to disappointment. Coco glanced backstage, heart pounding as the first model took the stage. The lights brightened over the runway, illuminating the designs she painstakingly crafted. Each model carried not just fabric but an extension of her journey, a journey from silence to voice, from isolation to presence. As she watched, breaths held tight, she felt the shift within herself. There was no turning back now. With courage ignited, would she finally unveil a piece of her soul to a world that had labeled her an outsider? Could she transform the lingering whispers of doubt into a symphony of possibility? Behind the curtain, she took one last deep breath. The moment of truth was upon her. The music swelled, and the metallic clang of the lights forged a brilliant halo around the runway. Coco's heart drummed a fierce rhythm against her ribs, quickening with each step the first model took. Her eyes flickered to the crowd, faces illuminated, eager and expectant. Were they here to embrace her vision or to judge it harshly? The first model moved gracefully, draped in a stunning piece that Coco had poured her essence into soft cream fabric, cinched at the waist, flowing effortlessly as if to mirror the very spirit of Paris. Cheers erupted from the spectators, a wave of warmth washing over her. Yet a chill crept in, whispering doubts that brushed against her thoughts. What if the applause was for the beauty of the clothes, not the soul behind them? She clenched her hands into fists, absorbing the feelings swirling around her. As each model appeared, her collection unfolded like chapters in a book. There was the vibrant red dress that demanded attention, the elegant black skirt that whispered of sophistication. The designs were her memoir, the brushes of fabric curling around her heart. With each piece, she felt more emboldened, more solid. But then, as if her wonderland were suddenly flipped, a voice rose above the crowd. "Who does she think she is?" It sliced through her moment, each word heavy and cruel. The voice belonged to a well-dressed critic, one famous for scalding reviews. Coco's stomach churned as she caught a fleeting glance of disdain on the critic's face. "It's just a passing thought," Coco muttered to herself, but the words felt hollow. In that instant of vulnerability, she wavered. Was everything she dreamed crumbling before her eyes? Margot and Antoine caught wind of her distress and exchanged worried looks. "You've worked too hard, Coco," Margot urged. "Don't let one voice drown out the others." Coco took a breath, steadying herself. With newfound determination, she focused on the next model emerging from the shadows, a young woman of diverse beauty, the essence of the world Coco wanted to embrace. This was her moment to celebrate every unique woman who deserved to wear her designs with pride. In that understanding, the painful voice dimmed. Each dress that floated down the runway transcended fabric. They bore hope, strength, and aspirations. She saw the audience lean forward, captivated. Laughter and whispers sparked like fireflies in the dusk. Suddenly, the sound reached its peak, a standing ovation, a wave of applause that seemed to unfurl like a cascade of petals, bursting forth from the captivated crowd. Coco's heart swelled, a chorus of joy and validation enveloping her. It wasn't perfection they were responding to, it was authenticity. Coco stepped back from the curtain, a smile spreading across her face. The moment was electric, but beneath that thrill lay a flicker of fear. Had she truly begun to break the chains of her past? Did her story resonate beyond those walls? Each question echoed loudly in her heart as the final model stepped into view. Tears welled in her eyes as the model paused, draping an arm over her heart, embodying the pride Coco had longed to instill in women everywhere. As the crowd continued to cheer, a new wave of hope washed over her. They were acknowledging her. They weren't just seeing a designer based on her origins. They were seeing Coco, the creator, the visionary. But just as the last model exited, Coco felt a hand slip into hers. Antoine's. "You did it," he whispered, the pride in his eyes unwavering. But as relief settled, a thought tugged at her mind. The journey was just beginning. What if she could use this moment to ignite a revolution in fashion, one that shattered all barriers? Could it be possible to inspire others from the shadows of doubt? As the evening's celebration buzzed on, Coco took a step back, heart racing again. The world may have finally listened, but would she be ready to rise to the challenges that lay ahead? The applause lingered in her ears like the sweetest song, but as the crowd began to disperse, reality surged back. The joy that had once soared within her quickly morphed into the weight of expectation. What came next? The question gnawed at her, each heartbeat echoing the uncertainty of her future. Antoine squeezed her hand. "Let us take a moment. Just us," he said, leading her towards a quieter corner of the venue. The chatter of celebration swirled around them, but here, it felt intimate, safe. Coco looked into his eyes, where she saw a mixture of admiration and concern. What if this is just luck? What if tomorrow some critic rips me apart? Coco blurted, her voice trembling. Antoine shook his head. "You've put your heart into this. You've opened a door for others to follow. That's not luck, Coco. That's courage." His words wrapped around her like a warm embrace, kindling a flame of confidence within. Courage. The word echoed in her mind, igniting a flicker of resistance against her doubts. She still felt the lingering sting of that critical voice, a reminder that not everyone would celebrate her dreams. And yet, as she glanced back at the scene unfolding, her collection displayed on the runway, a spark ignited in her heart. She didn't just want to create clothes. She wanted to create a movement. "Antoine," she said suddenly, her eyes wide with realization. "What if I held workshops, open forums for women, encourage them to express themselves through fashion like I did?" His face brightened. "That's brilliant. Empowerment through creativity. You'd be creating a community, a movement." Coco's pulse quickened as more ideas flooded her mind. Wouldn't it be revolutionary to invite young designers from every background, every story, to showcase their work? Diversity that could mirror the vibrant world outside those very walls. "We could challenge the industry norms," she said, excitement bubbling up. "Show fashion as an extension of identity, not just a luxury. Let us make it happen," Antoine replied, his enthusiasm infectious. But with that fired-up idea came the shadow of fear again. Could she truly manage this new endeavor? What if it all fell apart? What if her desire to inspire others became another echo of her past failures? Just as those doubts began creeping back, Margot stepped into their space, a wide smile on her face as if invigorated by the thrill of the moment. "You're a superstar tonight, Coco. Everyone's talking about you, the energy, the vision." Coco felt a warmth spread through her, a flicker of strength against her insecurities. If people believed in her, shouldn't she believe in herself? The thought pushed aside lingering fears, revealing a sense of purpose. She met Margot's gaze, enjoying the joy in her friend's eyes. "I want to do more than fashion shows. I want to create a narrative that resonates," Coco said, passion fueling each word. "A space for women who have been overlooked, to share their stories and their designs." "Absolutely," Margot exclaimed, her voice brimming with excitement. You have the power to shape the industry, to change it from the inside out. Let us gather a team, start planning. As they huddled together, ideas flowing, a feeling of belonging swelled. They weren't just friends. They were pioneers ready to challenge the fashion world. But within the excitement lingered the question of rejection. Would the fashion elite embrace this shift? Or would it ignite a backlash? The evening wore on, filled with laughter, plans, and promises of a future that felt brighter than ever. As Coco basked in the warmth of her friend's support, a newfound determination ignited her spirit. With every moment, she understood this was her chance not just to write her story, but to help others pen theirs. The music faded into the background as an overwhelming thought gripped her. She was ready to disrupt the norms. But would the industry be ready for her revolution? Coco leaned against the wall, the vibrant energy of the venue still buzzing around her. But her thoughts spun inwards. There was a fire inside her, fueled by the connection to Antoine and Margot. Yet outside those safe interactions loomed the harsh reality of the industry. "Hey," Antoine said softly, pulling her from her reverie. "You okay?" She nodded, but unease pooled in her stomach. What if I can't make it happen? What if my vision fizzles out? Antoine gently cupped her face, his eyes steady. "Coco, you've got passion and talent. Remember why you started this in the first place. Your story matters. Let that drive you." His words sparked something deep within, pushing her worries aside. She wasn't just trying to create a name for herself. It was bigger than that. She was manifesting a space where creativity had no bounds and where everyone felt they could belong. "Let us go share this idea with the others," she suggested, her voice firmer now. Margot was already rallying a small group of like-minded designers, diverse voices that fit perfectly with Coco's vision. Each one brought their stories, their struggles, and that sense of rebellion against the conventional barriers in fashion. As their excitement built, Coco stepped back, watching their passion swirl in the air. A soft, heady warmth surrounded her. It felt right. They were all in this together, women ready to inspire and empower one another. But as they dove deeper into conversation, Coco couldn't shake the nagging thought. Would the established world of fashion reject them? Margot caught her gaze and smiled knowingly, almost as if sensing her anxiety. "Let us talk about our first workshop," Margot said. "What topic should we tackle first?" Coco felt the tension lift a little. Felt so real now, being here with this group. "It should be about self-acceptance," she said, her voice growing stronger. "So many women feel pressured to fit an ideal. Let us challenge that." A chorus of agreement rose around her. They brainstormed ideas, clapping with enthusiasm as notions turned into actionable plans. The night rolled on, and with each detail articulated, the mission grew clearer. It was about reshaping the narrative around fashion, turning it into a celebration of individuality rather than a mere display of luxury. As they wrapped up the planning session, Coco felt revitalized. This was her start not just as a designer, but as a leader. She embraced her friends, a tight huddle of shared hopes. "Tomorrow," she said, smiling brightly, "we take the first step. I can hardly wait." But as they began to part ways, a faint chill crept back into her. What would happen when they put themselves out there? Coco initiated the idea of including less polished, lesser-known talents. Would that invite scorn or admiration from the fashion establishment? The buzz of hope mingled with fear swirled in her mind like a storm. Would the industry allow her to shift paradigms? Or would it try to crush her spark before it even flickered brightly? Walking home, anticipation coursed through her veins. She had her friends lined up, a vision in her heart. But one haunting question lingered. What if the very world she wanted to transform turned its back on her? Tomorrow was a new day, a leap into the unknown. Would it result in creation or chaos? The thought wrapped around her like a blanket, so warm yet suffocating at once. But she knew one thing for sure. She wouldn't back down. She was ready. Or was she? The next morning dawned bright and crisp, light streaming through Coco's window like a beacon of hope. She had barely slept. All her dreams meshed together into a chaotic dance of excitement and anxiety. It felt like the world had shifted overnight, a dawn ushering in endless possibilities, a beautifully terrifying prospect. With a determined breath, she slipped into her favorite outfit, a mix of colors and textures that felt authentic and true to who she was. Today wasn't just about fashion. It was about expression, freedom, and breaking barriers. As she reviewed her notes one last time, her heart raced with anticipation. Arriving at the studio, she was greeted by the buzz of energy filling the air. Margot and Antoine were already there, chatting animatedly with a few attendees. Coco felt a flutter in her stomach. These were not just strangers interested in a workshop. They were fellow rebels with stories waiting to be told, reflections of her own struggles. They were ready. "Coco," Margot called out, waving her over. "Look at everyone. They've been waiting for you." As the group settled, Coco stood before them, her palms slightly sweaty but her heart pounding with clarity. When she opened her mouth to speak, the words flowed effortlessly. She painted a vivid picture of her vision, a community where every voice mattered and every woman could wear her story proudly. Fashion isn't just about beauty, she emphasized, feeling the momentum lift. It's about celebrating our journeys, accepting our flaws, and embracing each other as we are. We are here to create something that matters not just to us, but to everyone. The room echoed with appreciation, eyes lighting up. But then she noticed a woman in the back, a former model whose name she recognized. Chloe, a superstar in the industry whose past was dotted with glossy magazine covers and lofty fashion shows. Coco's heart sank for a moment. Would someone like Chloe even resonate with her message? Would she mock their mission? With a steady breath, she decided to invite her to speak. "Chloe, would you like to share your thoughts?" she asked. Her voice firm yet gentle, the hush fell over the crowd as Chloe stood, her presence both intimidating and commanding. She approached the front, and all eyes were glued to her. "There's something real happening here," Chloe began, her voice steady. "This industry can be brutal. I felt like I had to lose myself to fit in. But the moment I started to embrace my imperfections, that's when I truly found freedom." A wave of emotion washed over Coco. Here was someone who understood what she aimed to achieve, and she was willing to stand beside her. As Chloe continued, an undeniable bond formed, electrifying the room. More voices joined the chorus, sharing their struggles, their hopes, and their dreams. Some had given up on their fashion aspirations but felt a flicker of hope return. Others were just starting their journeys, eager to connect and learn. Together, they laughed, shared tears, and inspired one another. But just as the session reached a beautiful crescendo, a knock on the door interrupted their intimate circle. It was an unexpected visitor, one of the fashion executives from a prominent brand, known for their rigid standards and refusal to budge. Coco's heart dropped. What did they want? Would they be there to undermine all the progress she and her friends had made? "Can I help you?" she asked, her breath hitching. The figure stepped inside, looking around at the eclectic group, and for a moment, uncertainty hung thick in the air. Then, the executive spoke. "I think I might have something to say about this wild idea of yours." Coco's breath hitched in her throat. This could mean everything, or it could be a disaster. Would this confrontation steer their vision into the light or snuff it out before it could ignite? The room was charged with tension, and all eyes suddenly turned back to Coco, waiting for her reaction. Like a frozen moment in time, this was the moment that could define everything she hoped for. What would she say? Coco's heart thundered, drowning out the voices in her head. She glanced around the room, feeling every gaze like a spotlight on her. This was a moment both terrifying and exhilarating. The weight of the unknown pressed against her chest, but she knew she had come too far to shrink back now. "Thank you for joining us," she began, her voice steadier than she felt. "I'm curious to know what you think. We're here to change the narrative." The executive raised an eyebrow, a smirk curling at the corners of her lips. "Change the narrative? That's quite ambitious. You do realize that fashion thrives on ideals, on perfection, don't you?" Coco took a deep breath, feeling the familiar rush of determination course through her. "Yes, but ideals can stifle creativity. We believe that embracing who we are, flaws and all, can open new avenues for expression. We can redefine beauty together. She could see some nodding in agreement, holding her gaze like a lifeline. The executive's smile faltered for a second, and Coco seized the moment. I think many women are tired of fitting in. They crave authenticity, just as I do. Chloe stepped forward, her stature commanding yet inviting. We are not just participants in this industry, we're revolutionaries. The narrative has been monolithic for too long. It's time we highlight diverse stories. Murmurs rippled through the group, a mix of hope and excitement. Coco felt a spark ignite within her. This was turning into a collective call for change, and she was no longer alone. The executive shifted slightly, crossing her arms. You're still competing in a system that thrives on a very specific version of perfection. Convincing the industry to throw everything out and adhere to this new vision. That's unlikely. A gasp escaped from the back of the room, an attendee dismissing a whisper of doubt. Coco felt the heat of the moment close in. Unlikely doesn't mean impossible. She shot back, her pulse racing. People once thought women could never break into the fashion industry. Yet here I stand, alongside aspiring creatives, models, and voices that deserve to be heard. Antoine stood and joined in, his tone passionate. It's about more than just designs, it's about impact. This community thrives on authenticity and representation. If enough of us push back against the grain, we can create a ripple effect that even the biggest names in fashion will notice. The executive looked taken aback, a flicker of concern in her eyes. This wasn't just a workshop, it was a movement, and the room felt electric with possibility. You're all quite spirited, she said, her words almost dismissive but tempered with intrigue. I'll give you this, you've certainly captured my attention. Coco exchanged hopeful glances with Margot and Chloe. Perhaps there was a chance for dialogue, for collaboration. But the executive continued, a serious tone creeping in. You must know there are sacrifices involved. Changes won't come without risks. The air shifted in the room, excitement teetering on a ledge of uncertainty. Coco's heart raced again. What sacrifices? Would she have to compromise her vision? Why did change have to come with so many questions? Call me a dreamer, Coco replied, but I believe every great change requires a bold step. A quiet moment filled the air, heavy with anticipation. The executive was evaluating her, weighing options that could transform the fabric of the industry. As the tension built, Coco's imagination roamed to the possibilities, bright and vivid. What if this small circle of change became a loud chorus echoing across fashion runways? Perhaps there's room for a conversation about how we can cultivate real change. The executive finally conceded, her tone shifting slightly toward collaborative. But let us be clear, this will take more than just passion. Coco felt the tiniest thrill within, but she also knew this was only the beginning. Would she have the strength to face whatever choices lay ahead? As the session wound down, Coco's thoughts churned with questions. What would this new partnership entail? What compromise might come into play? With hope coursing through her, she felt the excitement crackle in the air once more, ready to embrace whatever came next. But a nagging doubt lingered. Could she truly navigate this intricate dance between authenticity and industry expectations? And as she watched the executive step toward the door, she couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change in ways she could never begin to imagine. The room began to disperse, a buzz of conversation filling the air with a million ideas trying to break free. Coco lingered, absorbing the ripple of energy that had sparked during the meeting. Her heart still raced, pounding with adrenaline and hopes she never dared to voice before. Hey Coco, Margot called, her voice cutting through the chatter. You really held your ground back there. Coco turned toward her friend, a smile breaking through the cloud of uncertainty that lingered. Thanks, Margot. Felt different this time. I really think we made an impression. Chloe joined them, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. She even said we could talk about real change. Yet in the pit of Coco's stomach, doubt nudged at her like a child begging for attention. But at what cost? Margot's expression shifted, seriousness creeping into her tone. We just have to find the balance. We're not asking them to erase everything. We're just suggesting they open their minds. Coco nodded, though her thoughts were spiraling. She imagined a world where beauty wasn't confined to one standard. A world where models weren't just flawless figures but real people with stories to tell. But what sacrifices would this ambitious dream require? Later, as the trio walked out of the venue, streetlights flickered to life. The city had taken on a new glow, vibrant and alive. They stood near the entrance, the thick energy in the air wrapping around them like a soft blanket. "Let us just appreciate this moment," Antoine said, capturing their attention. "We challenged the status quo today. That's huge." "It is," Coco replied, a flicker of pride in her voice. "But we need a solid plan. We can't just dream, we need actionable steps." "What about holding a workshop?" Margot suggested, enthusiasm bubbling again. "Gather more voices, more stories. We could create a platform." Coco paused, catching the vision in her friend's eyes. "That could work. If we unite, if we really get people on board, it could start the conversation." Chloe leaned in closer. "Imagine if we could get some influential names to speak at it. People who believe in our vision for the first time." Coco grasped the gravity of their potential. It was alluring and terrifying. Could she really take the lead? Could they pull this off? "Let us do it," Coco said, her voice a whisper of determination. "Let us make a plan, and then we present it to the executive. We'll show her we can make this change happen." The thrill of dreaming shifted to vision. Their laughter spilled out into the street, a melody of hope and excitement. For every doubt that lingered, another idea flared to life. When Coco returned home, she settled at her small table. Spreading out papers, she scribbled notes, wove ideas, and connected dots like stars in the night sky. Each stroke of her pen felt like building a bridge between what was and what could be. But as enthusiasm filled her mind, a dark cloud of fear whispered in the background. What if the industry pushed back? What if they dismissed her efforts? The weight of expectation pressed heavily. No one had promised this journey would be easy. Sifting through her thoughts, she paused. "Is it worth the risk?" she asked herself, uncertain but hopeful. Just then, her phone buzzed to life, breaking her reflective moment. A message lit up the screen, a single name flashing across it. The executive. Coco's heart dove into her stomach, electrified yet anxious. Did she reach out? Or wait? This was the moment of truth hovering before her. And she needed to decide, was she ready to step fully into the whirlwind she had ignited? With every sinew in her body stirred awake, Coco took a deep breath, her decision teetering on the edge of a knife. Everything could change with one response. Would she open the door to a new reality? Coco's heart raced as she stared at the message from the executive. The invitation to collaborate shimmered like a beacon in the darkness of her doubts. "Meet me tomorrow to discuss our next steps." Just like that, everything could change. The sun rose bright the next day, casting a warm glow through her window. Coco slipped into her favorite dress, the one that felt like second skin, a fusion of comfort and elegance. She gathered her sketches and drove to the meeting. Anticipation bubbling in her guts, she stepped into the meeting room. The air was thick with possibility. The executive sat across the table, her expression a blend of appraisal and intrigue. "Coco, you've created a lot of buzz. I'm interested to hear your vision." Coco took a deep breath. Today was the day. "I want to create a new standard in fashion. One that embraces all women, their stories, their journeys." She began, the words flowing with clarity and conviction. "Let's launch a series of workshops that highlight diversity, creativity, and empowerment. We want to invite underrepresented designers and models to share their talents and perspectives." The executive's brow furrowed thoughtfully. "That's ambitious. Changing the status quo isn't easy. There are risks involved." "Change never comes without risks," Coco countered, eyes brightening with determination. "But our world is shifting. People are craving authenticity over ideals. If we can create a platform for voices that have been silenced, it could redefine what it means to be fashionable." The executive leaned back, contemplating. "You truly believe this can work?" Coco nodded firmly. "Absolutely. Fashion can be a reflection of who we are, not just who we think we should be. Imagine the impact we could have. Moments passed, stretching into eternity. Then, a rare smile crept onto the executive's face. I'm intrigued. Let us explore this further. But I'll need to see a solid roadmap, a compelling business plan. Yes, we can gather an incredible team filled with diverse talent. We can prove this is not just a trend, but a movement. Coco felt the encouragement of her friends guiding her, fueling her passion as she left the meeting, soaring with excitement. Her mind was alive with images of what lay ahead. She could envision workshops filled with laughter, creativity spilling over like coffee from an overflowing cup. She saw fearless women expressing themselves in colorful designs, each one a testament to their strength. The next days were a whirlwind of brainstorming sessions with her friends. Each member brought their unique insights, piecing together a vibrant tapestry of ideas. They decorated the studio with mood boards, sketches, and inspiring quotes. It felt like the birth of something powerful, a community finally finding its voice. When they presented their plan to the executive, the atmosphere was electrifying. Plans detailed every corner of the workshops, from networking events to open forums, all designed to spark conversations about acceptance, diversity, and empowerment. The executive listened intently, nodding along, and by the end, it was evident she shared their vision. This is ambitious, but your passion is infectious, she concluded. Let us take this to the next level. Coco felt tears of joy prickling at her eyes. Thank you. Together we can change the industry. Months passed. The workshops began, and with each session, magic unfolded. Women gathered, sharing stories and showcasing their designs. Confidence bloomed like flowers in the spring, a beautiful eruption of self-expression. Social media buzzed with excitement, lovers of fashion and creativity rallying around the movement. Coco's heart brimmed with satisfaction as she witnessed the ripple effect of their work. It was more than just fashion. It was community, authenticity, and a celebration of every individual's journey. Each participant left feeling empowered, embracing their uniqueness and setting the tone for a more inclusive future. On the night of a special showcase event, the Grand Palais lit up with a dazzling display of lights. The buzz in the air was palpable as throngs of guests prepared to witness the culmination of their projects. Coco stood backstage, heart pounding yet steady, surrounded by her supporters. Antoine squeezed her hand. You've done it, Coco. This is your moment. She took a deep breath, her eyes sparkling with determination. No, this is our moment. Together, we're changing the narrative. As the first model stepped onto the runway, a beautiful embodiment of every story and vision intertwined, applause erupted like the crack of thunder. Tears streamed down Coco's face as her dreams unfolded before her like petals blooming in the warmth of the sun. She reveled in the applause, the beauty of the evening washing over her. This was at the culmination of her journey from a little girl dreaming beneath a willow tree to a powerful force in the fashion world. Coco had forged a path to redefine luxury, layered with resilience, hope, and unwavering support from her community. Together they had proven that fashion was not just what you wore. It was about who you were. And as the crowd called for the next model, Coco found her voice echoing within the hearts of many. A story worth sharing and a legacy just beginning. The journey hadn't just shaped her. It was a spark igniting flames around the world, inspiring countless others to rise in their truth. Now, you can be a part of this incredible movement. You need to subscribe now to catch our next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second. Hit that like button to fuel our algorithms. Comment below to share your feelings about this heartwarming transformation. And share this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness the power of change in fashion. Your support is vital. Let us grow this community together.